Where the fuck is she? I muttered, jabbing at my phone, the screen blurring as call after call to Claire went straight to voicemail. Logan Airport, Gate B12, March 25. Sarah was pacing, the twins were whining, and I was sweating through my blouse, clutching boarding passes for a trip we'd hijacked from her. But inside? Hell, it was a different story. I've got 2 daughters, Sarah, my oldest at 42, and Claire, my baby at 35. And if you ask Claire, I fucked up royally as a mom. Maybe she's got a point. But it's not like I set out to screw her over, I was just trying to keep the damn ship afloat. When Sarah came along in '83, she was a goddamn miracle. My husband, Tom, and I had been trying for years, miscarriages, tears, the whole mess. So when she finally arrived, screaming her lungs out, we poured everything into her. She was this bright, bubbly kid, curly blonde hair, big blue eyes, always chattering away. By the time she was 3, she was singing nursery rhymes word for word, and by 5, she was reading chapter books. Tom and I hung on her every milestone like it was a lifeline. We plastered her finger paintings on the fridge, framed her preschool diplomas, and bragged to anyone who'd listen. She was our golden girl. Then Claire showed up 7 years later in '90. Another blessing, sure, but by then, we were knee-deep in Sarah's world. Claire was quieter, more reserved, dark hair, hazel eyes, always watching from the sidelines. I'd catch her staring at Sarah with this mix of awe and something else I couldn't quite place. Jealousy, maybe, I don't know. I was too busy chasing Sarah's next big thing, ballet recitals, spelling bees, you name it. Claire didn't demand attention the way Sarah did, so I guess we didn't give it as much. That's on me. I remember Claire's 10th birthday like it was yesterday, though not for the right reasons. It was June '00 and Sarah was 17, prepping for college interviews. We'd been driving her all over New England, Boston College, Tufts, Dartmouth, trying to lock down her future. Claire's birthday slipped through the cracks. I didn't mean to forget the damn cake. I was just exhausted. Tom suggested we use the leftover sheet cake from Sarah's graduation party a week earlier, white frosting. Congrats, Sarah, still scrawled across it in blue icing. I figured Claire wouldn't mind. She was a good sport, always had been. But when we lit the candles and sang, I saw her face's hazel eyes dimming as she forced a smile. I brushed it off. Kids are resilient, right? That pattern stuck. Sarah's debate team trophies lined the mantel while Claire's honor roll certificate got tucked in a drawer. When Claire won a painting contest at 16 some local art fair thing, Tom and I were in New Hampshire, touring UNH with Sarah. We meant to go, honest, but the schedules clashed. Claire didn't make a fuss, just hung the little ribbon on her bedroom wall herself. I told myself she understood. Sarah's stuff was bigger, louder, college was on the line. Claire had time. Money was tight back then. Tom worked construction, I did bookkeeping part-time, and we stretched every penny. Sarah got the lion's share, no question. New leotards for dance, a graphing calculator for math club, private state tutors. She needed it, we told ourselves. She was going places. Claire got the leftovers, Sarah's 2 small sweaters, her scratched-up bike. When Claire asked about music lessons at 12, I shut it down quick. We've already shelled out a fortune for Sarah's piano this year, I said, pointing to the upright in the living room. Try her old violin. It was too big for her, she struggled to hold it right, but she taught herself a few tunes anyway. I was proud in my own distracted way. Tom and I weren't trying to play favorites, it just happened. Sarah's path was clear. She was the first in our family headed to college. A big fucking deal for 2 kids from blue-collar roots. Claire was smart too, but quieter about it. I figured she'd find her way without us hovering. Looking back, I see how shitty that logic was. When Sarah got into Northeastern in '01, we were over the moon. Tuition was steep, $30,000 a year, plus room and board, so we took out loans. Refinanced the house, the whole 9 yards. She graduated with a business degree in '05, and we threw a party that damn near broke us: catered food, a DJ, 100 guests. Claire watched from the sidelines, 15 and sullen, but I didn't think much of it. 4 years later, it was Claire's turn. She'd gotten into UMass Amherst Solid School, cheaper than Northeastern, but we were still drowning in Sarah's debt. We can't swing it right now, I told her, hands wringing. You'll have to figure it out. She nodded, jaw tight, and that was that. She worked 2 jobs waitressing in retail while pulling all-nighters to keep her grades up. I'd find her asleep at the kitchen table, textbooks open, and feel a pang of guilt. But Sarah had just landed a job at a marketing firm in Boston thanks to a friend of Tom's, and that took the spotlight. Claire graduated with honors in 13, no loans, no help from us. I was proud said it too, but it didn't land the way it should have. Fast forward to 18, Sarah is engaged to Mark, a lawyer she met at work. Tom and I went all in. She deserved the fairy tale designer gown, a venue on the Cape, 300 guests. We took out another loan, $20,000, because nothing's too good for Sarah's day, Tom said one night over coffee. I agreed. Claire was maid of honor, no discussion. She threw herself into it, bridal showers, a bachelorette weekend in Newport, all while working full-time in marketing. She'd call me, voice shaking, saying she was drowning. Don't be selfish, I snapped once, sharper than I meant. This is Sarah's time. She went quiet and I didn't push. The wedding was stunning, Sarah glowing, Mark grinning, the twins still in the womb then, a promise of more joy. Claire stood beside her, smiling for photos, but I could tell she was fraying. I didn't ask why. Sarah and Mark had the twins Jack and Owen in 19. Tom and I were over the fucking moon grandkids. Those little bundles of chaos showed up right after a brutal year, and they felt like a fresh start. Jack came out first, all red-faced and screaming, with Owen trailing a minute later, quieter but just as stubborn. We still owed a chunk on that damn wedding loan, but when Sarah said they needed a house near us, something with a yard for the boys, we didn't hesitate. We chipped in $15,000 for the down payment, figuring it was an investment in family. Claire called me out on it one night at dinner, her voice cutting through the clatter of plates. You said you couldn't help with my tuition, she said, flat as a board. I waved it off, fork in hand. This is different, honey. It's for the boys. She didn't argue, just stared at her mashed potatoes like they'd wronged her. Then the babysitting started. It crept up slow, at first a casual, Claire, can you watch the boys for an hour while I run to the store? I'd ask it sweetly, thinking she'd say yes because, well, she always did. But it snowballed fast. By the time the twins were toddling around in 20, Claire was over every weekend, then weeknights too. So Sarah and Mark could sneak off for date nights, fancy dinners, movies, the works. This is what family does, I'd tell her when she'd grumble, rubbing her eyes after a long day at her marketing gig. Sarah played the guilt card hard if Claire ever hesitated. You don't get how hard motherhood is, I'm drowning here. And Claire'd cave every damn time. I'd see her jaw tighten, but she'd grab her keys and head over anyway. Truth is, Claire was a goddamn saint with those boys. She didn't just watch them, she loved them deep down in a way that surprised even me. Jack was a fireball, always climbing shit, knocking over lamps, leaving a trail of destruction. Owen was the thinker, quieter, with these big brown eyes that'd lock onto you like he was figuring out your soul. Claire got them in a way Sarah sometimes didn't. She'd sit on the floor for hours building Lego towers with Owen while Jack zoomed around like a tornado. She'd make up these goofy songs off key as hell about pirates or dinosaurs, and the boys would giggle until they couldn't breathe. Once I stopped by unannounced and found her in Sarah's living room. Jack asleep on her lap and Owen curled up against her side, all three of them covered in marker stains from some art project gone wild. She looked exhausted, sure, but there was this softness in her eyes like those kids were hers in some small way. I think that's why she put up with it so long. It wasn't just us guilting her into it, though we did plenty of that. She adored Jack and Owen even when they drove her up the wall. She'd tell me stories sometimes, laughing through her fatigue like how Jack once dumped a whole box of Cheerios on her head, or how Owen learned to say Auntie C before he even said Mama. She'd bitch about the mess, the tantrums, the fact that she hadn't slept a full night in weeks, but then she'd soften. They're pretty great though, she'd say, almost to herself. I'd nod, thinking she was just blowing off steam, not seeing how much it was costing her. But love's a tricky bastard, it keeps you tethered even when you're breaking. By 23, the twins were 4, wild as ever, and Claire was still the go-to sitter. She'd started leaving spare clothes at Sarah's place, a toothbrush too, like she lived there half the time. I'd catch her sneaking naps on their couch, dark circles under her eyes, while the boys ran circles around her. She was patient too patient because she couldn't say no to those little faces. Jack would tug her hand, yelling, "Play trucks, Auntie!" And Owen would shove a picture book in her lap, and she'd sigh but give in every time. I figured she was fine with it, she loved them, right? What's a little exhaustion between family? Then came the promotion offer at work in 23. Claire burst into our kitchen one night, buzzing like I hadn't seen in years. They're offering me a senior role, more money, some travel, a real shot to run my own campaigns," she said, grinning ear to ear. I should have matched it, cheered her on. Instead, I frowned, my brain snagging on logistics. "What about the twins?" I asked, like it was her job to figure that out. Sarah jumped in, voice shrill. "You can't take it, Claire. Who's gonna help me with the boys?" Tom, scraping his plate, added his 2 cents. "Family first, kiddo." The air went heavy. Claire's grin vanished and she just stared at us like she was seeing strangers. Then she exploded, "When have you ever put me first?" Her voice cracked, raw and loud, and I flinched. Sarah snapped back, venom dripping. "You're just bitter because you're single." Fucking ouch. Claire's face went blank and she shoved her chair back, storming out. Dinner ended in dead silence, forks clinking awkwardly. Looking back, I see it clear as day she wasn't just tired of babysitting. She was tired of us taking her love for those boys and twisting it into a chain. She'd been patient because Jack and Owen were her soft spot, but we'd pushed too far, assumed too much. That night, I think she started planning her escape. Last year, around late February 24, Claire dropped this bombshell at dinner. She was planning a solo trip to Florida. Some quiet little resort, just her, the beach, and a stack of books. She said it casual, like she was testing the waters, but I could hear the edge in her voice like she was daring us to ruin it. I didn't catch that part, I got too fucking excited. "Oh, that sounds perfect. We should all go." I blurted out, picturing a big family getaway, sun, sand, the boys splashing around. Sarah latched on like a damn leech. "Yes." "Claire, you can take Jack and Owen swimming while Mark and I get some alone time." I saw Claire's face fall, those hazel eyes narrowing, her mouth tightening, but I didn't clock it. I was too busy imagining Tom grilling burgers by a pool, the twins giggling in floaties. We'd make it a thing, right? Before Claire could even protest, we steamrolled her. I got on the phone with a travel agent the next day. Upgraded her shitty little resort to some fancy-ass place in Orlando, 2-bedroom suite, kid-friendly pool, the works. Cost a fortune, but I figured she'd roll with it. She always had. Sarah was already packing swimsuits for the boys, and Mark was muttering about golf courses. Claire didn't say a word, not a yes, not a no. She just nodded once, picked at her food, and left early. I thought she was tired from work. Fucking idiot me. The day of the trip, March 5th, 10th, 24, we hauled ass to Logan Airport, Gate B12. The boys were wired, dragging their little backpacks, whining about wanting juice. Sarah was snapping at Mark to carry more shit, and I was juggling boarding passes, already sweating through my blouse. Claire was nowhere. "She's probably stuck in security," I said, dialing her number. No answer, text, nothing. "Claire, where you at?" I typed, then called again. Voicemail. The boys started tugging at me, "Where's Ani C?" And Sarah was pacing, pissed as hell. "She better not flake," she hissed. I started panicking. "Where the fuck is she?" I muttered, redialing like a maniac. 20 minutes later, Sarah's phone pinged. A friend called, voice hushed. Claire just posted a selfie on Instagram." Sarah yanked it up, a beach shot, Claire in sunglasses, tagged at some random-ass island resort nowhere near Florida. She ditched us. Cold. I lost my shit. 147 calls, 300 texts, voicemails that went from "Honey, are you okay?" to "What the hell, Claire?" Sarah's were brutal. "You ruined everything. The boys are a mess. How could you?" Jack and Owen were crying now, confused, and Mark was trying to calm them with overpriced airport pretzels. Tom, quiet as usual, left one message. "Just tell us you're safe. I don't get it, but please." His voice cracked at the end, and I hated hearing it. We boarded anyway, flew to Orlando, checked into that overpriced suite. The boys trashed the place in 2 days, Sarah bitched nonstop, and I kept checking my phone, hoping Claire'd call. She didn't. 5 days later, my screen lit up with a group chat text. "I'm safe. Need space." That was it. 5 fucking words. I stared at it, coffee going cold in my hand, and felt something twist in my gut. Anger, sure, but something else too. Guilt, maybe? When Claire got back, she didn't come home. Didn't call, didn't text, nothing. Sarah heard through a mutual friend she'd holed up in some hotel downtown, changed her locks, even updated her work contacts to cut us out. It stung like hell. We showed up at our old apartment anyway, me and Sarah buzzing the intercom like lunatics. "Claire, open the damn door." Sarah yelled, pounding the button. No answer. A neighbor poked his head out, told us she'd moved out a week ago. We stood there, fuming, looking like a couple of fools. A month later, April 24, we finally cornered her at a coffee shop in Cambridge. She was sitting by the window, sipping a latte, looking calm. Too calm. Sarah marched in first, tears already streaming, and I trailed behind, arms crossed. The twins are traumatized. Sarah sobbed, slamming her purse on the table. They keep asking for you, and I don't know what to say. Claire just watched her, face blank. I jumped in, laying on the guilt thick. After all we've done for you, you pull this shit. Mark, who tagged along, tried playing peacemaker. How about every other weekend with the boys? That's fair, right? Claire set her cup down, slow and deliberate, and I knew we'd lost her. No, she said, voice steady as steel. Family's about sacrifice both ways. When did you ever sacrifice for me? It hit like a punch. Sarah froze, then stormed out, heels clicking. I opened my mouth to argue something about how we'd always been there, how she was overreacting, but the words died. She was right, and I hated it. I followed Sarah out, muttering curses under my breath, but Tom stayed. He told me later he sat there, awkward as hell, and said, "We didn't mean to make you feel this way." Not an apology, not really, but it was the closest he'd ever get. Claire just nodded, and he left. She moved after that new apartment, new neighborhood, didn't tell us where. Word got back she'd joined a book club, started dating some guy with a beard and a dog. She's free, she told a cousin who passed it along. Free. That word stuck in my craw. Me? I'm still reeling. I sit up nights now, replaying it all: Sarah's trophies, Claire's hand-me-downs, the twins, that damn trip. Maybe I fucked up more than I thought. Maybe I fucked up everything. I sit here now, replaying it all in my head. The birthdays we forgot, the sacrifices we demanded, the love we twisted into obligation. Claire is gone, not in the physical sense, but in the way that matters. She's freed herself from us, from me. And I'm left with the wreckage of what I built, wondering if I ever truly knew my own daughter. Maybe this is my punishment to sit in this quiet house, filled with Sarah's old trophies and photos, knowing that the one child who needed me most walked away to save herself. And the worst part? But favoritism isn't always a one-way street. Sometimes it's not just the overlooked sibling who suffers, it's the one who is placed on the pedestal. Imagine growing up as the favorite, the golden child, the one who was praised, elevated, and made to believe the world revolved around her. Imagine realizing too late that the crown you wore wasn't a gift, it was a trap. That's where Lauren's story begins. I'm Lauren, the so-called golden child, the one who's supposed to have it all figured out. Growing up, I was the star spelling bees, prom queen, the whole damn package. Jess, my older sister, was always just there. Shorter, curvier, quieter. She wasn't a fuck up or anything, but next to me, she faded. Mom and Dad made sure of that. They parade me around like some trophy, and Jess got the leftovers, half-assed pats on the back, and Mom's shitty diet tips. I didn't question it back then. Why would I? I was winning. Fast forward to my 20s, I'm killing it. Corner office, fat paycheck, modeling gigs on the side. Just landed some tech job, decent but nothing flashy. She's plugging away, and I'm over here raking in the praise. Mom's got my headshot above the fireplace like I'm goddamn royalty, while Jess's CompC degree barely gets a nice job. I tease her sometimes, "Hey, remember that modeling shoot you bombed?" And she'd just roll her eyes. I thought it was funny. Harmless sibling shit, right? Then Jess meets this guy at some nerd conference. Next thing I know, she's engaged. Engaged. Before me. That hit like a fucking truck. I wasn't even dating anyone serious, and here's Jess, the underdog, jumping the line. Mom and Dad lost their shit not in a good way. They'd been building this fantasy where I'd be the first down the aisle. Some perfect wedding they could show off to their country club buddies. Jess getting hitched first? That wasn't the script. I remember Mom calling me the night of Jess's engagement party, freaking out. This wasn't the plan, she said. I was crying, pissed as hell. She's stealing my thunder, I told her. It sounds petty now, but back then it felt like betrayal. Like Jess was rubbing it in my face, me, the one who always came out on top. Mom and Dad started nitpicking her wedding plans, trying to slow it down. Are you sure about this guy? Maybe wait a bit. I egged them on. I didn't want her big day stealing mine before I even had one. When the wedding invites came, we all saw them. Mom opened the paper one, tossed it aside like junk mail. The Evite? I watched her click it and close her laptop. We didn't RSVP, didn't talk about it. I figured Jess would get the hint to stay in her lane. The day of the wedding, Mom and Dad made some bullshit excuse about scheduling conflicts, and I went along with it. I didn't even call her. Why would I? I was too busy being the center of their world. But Jess went through with it, married the guy, had her day. I saw the pics online later her in that simple dress, smiling like she didn't give a fuck we weren't there. That should have been my first clue I'd screwed up, but nah, I doubled down. When she called after, asking why we bailed, I let Mom spin the lie. We never got the invite. I didn't say shit. Kept my mouth shut like always. Then I got engaged. Finally my turn. Mom and Dad went all out Pinterest boards, venue tours, the works. I thought I'd be perfect, the way it was always supposed to be. But then the family started dropping out. Aunts, uncles, cousins all giving me the cold shoulder. We heard what you did to Jess, they'd say. Jess wasn't even trash-talking me, she just told the truth. We skipped her wedding because I was supposed to go first. And fuck, that truth spread like wildfire. I tried to flip it. Called Jess a jealous liar, said she was sabotaging me out of spite. Mom and Dad backed me up, screaming about how ungrateful she was. But deep down, I knew it was bullshit. The relatives weren't buying it either. They saw through us through me. Jess confronted us one night, laid it all out. The favoritism, the neglect, how we treated her like a goddamn afterthought. I sat there while Mom denied it, while Dad called her dramatic. Then Mom dropped that line, "You've always been insecure about Lauren's success," and I saw Jess's face. She was done. Fucking done. She hung up and I thought, good riddance. But it didn't feel good. It felt empty. I tried to rope her husband into it, texting him some crap about helping Jess see reason and how staying on our good side would pay off. He laughed in my face well over text, but I could hear it. They were laughing at me, together, happy, and I was over here, scrambling to keep the pieces of my perfect little life from falling apart. Now my wedding's coming up and half the family's not showing. Mom and Dad are spinning lies to save face, but it's not working. People see us for what we are, selfish, shallowish holes who fucked over Jess because she dared to live her life. I look at my fiancé and he's starting to ask questions too. Why is your family like this? I don't have an answer. I keep replaying at Jess's wedding, the empty seats, the way we brushed her off. I was so busy guarding my spotlight that I didn't see what I was losing. She's out there living her best life while I'm stuck with this knowing feeling that I'm the one who fucked up. Not her. Me, I wanted to be the star, but all I did was burn out. And now, I'm just the bitch who couldn't handle her sister being happy first. Regret doesn't even cover it. I hate myself for it, and there's no taking it back. Thank you for watching and for taking this journey through these powerful stories. If this resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real-life stories that hit deep. See you in the next one.